Waffles as well. This is where we are right now.
Ashley,
the crowd just went running. Now they're moving back up.
Ashley, one thing we are noticing just from our vantage point, that the crowds are far more dense than what they were yesterday. They are much smaller. The police have been successful at dispersing that. Some of them have gone home. These are some of the remnants of the leftovers. The question, though, Yasmina, is you're in the front line as those police in riot gear and gas masks are lined up in force and in line. And we saw this same view with Brittany Miller. They stood there patiently, at ease, and then the tear gas went off and the crowd scattered. That could possibly happen again.
The scene on the right is exactly the kind of peaceful protest that I think that the organizers of these events were hoping to see.
Jason, you guys coming to us?
People standing and talking about the need for reform. And it looks like they are in some sort of an organized protest now where they are getting down. But we see more of these periods where people are sort of running and scattering off into different directions. Yasmina Alston is down there. Yasmina, where are you? What are you seeing?
Yeah, Rick, so we are still with Atlanta Police. Now, Atlanta Police has not moved now in maybe the last 10 minutes. We've seen this movement maybe 2 or 3 times already, but they're still here at this intersection right by the Waffle House that we saw yesterday was just destroyed. I want to also talk about the fact that there's so much traffic. We've now seen a crowd of people come back out to this area. Ayan, I don't know if we can show over here, those protesters have moved from the street area and they are now next to where we are standing. They're still over there chanting, and we've got little pockets of crowds just sort of surrounding this area that Atlanta Police is at. I'm seeing more movement. We had a small crowd that was over here closer to us. It seems like they are all now moving over to where that larger crowd has gathered. Again, Atlanta Police hasn't had any recent movement here, but again, we just don't know what's coming next, what those next movements are.
Yes, I mean, we saw from Ashley Thompson's vantage point. I'm not sure if you're seeing it from yours, but it appeared that some of those protesters were young teenagers.
Sean, I wasn't able to get a close look at everyone to say if they were young teenagers or not, but I mean, it just appears that people of all ages, I'm sure, are out here. I think our crew, Brittany and Steve, are going to head over to that crowd of
all right, y'all. So they imposed this damn 9 o'clock curfew when people were already out in the streets. They stopped MARTA. People can't get home or get to work. I mean, this is ridiculous, y'all. They're taking away our rights. They're taking away our voice slowly. These people, why we can't protest? Come on,
are you seeing that once they scatter?
Well,
this is what they're doing. They imposed a 9 o'clock curfew while people are already on the streets.
Now we've got a mix of the tear gas and those fireworks.
Are you
Everyone's
seeing
sort
that
of backing up over here too?
Is the crowd dispersing now?
So we're off on the sidewalk, so we can just kind of look out and see what's going on.
Cynthia, I was supposed to be over in the SWAT. I just had someone pass away in my family. My goddaughter, and I'm supposed to be in the SWAT right now, but everything going on, I'm staying my ass in the house.
All right,
I'm not even finna.
Let's go back out to
but
Ashley
still,
Thompson,
the point is, why the fuck people can't protest? The fuck?
Yeah, I think they just threw a little more tear gas and the crowd ran back this way. So we were trying to get away from it. I will say I did see some demonstrators just now throwing their water bottles up at law enforcement not long ago. And as you can see, they threw that tear gas, but people are still making their way. Excuse me. People are still making their way back up there. Some of these demonstrators who really just don't want to go home. As I said, I have noticed some of them throwing water bottles and other objects at law enforcement. But again,
she all getting choked by tear gas and shit, but she's still trying to report the news.
They're using that tear gas far more often than they were last night, and we are getting some whiffs of it. So excuse me, I'm trying to catch my breath a little bit here. But as officers throw these demonstrators back up, and then they go back toward law enforcement. Again, we are after that 9 o'clock curfew. Unclear whether even more force will be used soon. We know that APD was ready to make some arrests, so we are out here looking for them, seeing if they are going to do that. The crowds are thinner. It is a much thinner crowd than last night, but still a crowd nonetheless, and these people are not supposed to be out here right now.
I'm curious, Ashley, and I know it's hard for you to talk. If you can't, we'll talk over the pictures and let you recover. But if you can talk, the police department is dispersing the tear gas. It's making the crowds thin out. Are there any arrests that are happening, or has this alone been effective as it was?
Hey guys, yeah, right at 9 o'clock, I seen 3 people get arrested right
Sean,
at 9
me
o'clock.
Personally, I have not seen any arrests yet. I know APD says they are ready to make them, and they will be making them tonight. We know 71 arrests last night, and they plan to be a little more aggressive tonight. But this tear gas is effective in making the crowd run a certain way, but we are seeing them return to where they just came from. So it is effective, but this crowd continues to gather, and that's obviously not what police want right now. We're a little further back in the parking lot just because that was just thrown. We are still seeing some of those demonstrators throwing fireworks toward the crowd and objects and water bottles. So unclear if maybe the demonstrators are starting that and then the officers are firing back with that tear gas.
Ashley, why don't you get a sip of water and some fresh air? Take a little break for a second. Brittany Miller is also on the move. She's down in that same vicinity. And Brittany, tell us where you are. What's going on where you are?
So we are at the same scene where Yasmina is. We're just looking at what's happening from a different vantage point. We actually just walked here from Centennial Olympic Park in Marietta, where that tear gas was deployed. And here, again, people are running right now because they just threw a firework and they're anticipating what happens next, which is usually tear gas is deployed. We did not see tear gas deployed just now when they threw that firework, so we're not sure what's going to happen next. To my left, if you can see, we do have officers everywhere lined up with gas masks on in riot gear.
What's good, everybody? Just coming in the building.
Maybe 5 minutes
what's up,
ago.
y'all? Yeah, they gonna tell this curfew while people were out and about. They stopped MARTA. MARTA stopped at 9 o'clock. So people who were trying to get home, the last train was at 8:33. People who got to get to work or trying to get home can't even get to home. What if they don't have Uber and Lyft money? Y'all, they wild now. Like, and they started arresting people like right at 9:01 and
beyond
shit.
this parking lot all the way into
like you're taking away our voice, y'all. Slowly but surely.
They're still here with their signs. They're still here protesting and chanting. And I had been saying since yesterday, this crowd does not back down easily. And now we have seen this 2 days in a row. What we have not seen is the vandalism that we saw yesterday. We have not seen things being shattered, at least from my point of view. We have not seen any spray painting or anything like that. And we know that by this time yesterday, cars were on fire. So it is different in that sense, but we have to wait and see how they're really going to enforce this curfew, Rick and Sean.
A more effective approach, at least at this point, it seems, on the part of law enforcement. I would guess that these protesters who are still out there, this is sort of the hardened element. These are the folks who maybe last night, had there not been such a strong police response, they may have been engaged in some of the vandalism and activities that we saw. Tonight, they're really reduced to setting off fireworks. That's really kind of the worst that they can do.
They're setting off fireworks right now, and for that reason, it's hard to hear what we were saying. Do you mind repeating that last part of it, Rick?
Just talking about those who are still left, the hardy few who are not adhering to the curfew, who are continuing to butt up against law enforcement in spite of the fact that they've been asked to disperse and go home. I wonder if this is the group that perhaps last night may have been involved in some of the destruction and chaos that we saw, whereas tonight they're really kind of limited in the kind of damage that they're able to inflict.
Wow,
it would be interesting to see which crowd this is. The only people that I talked to today that were protesters that were here yesterday said that they were here peacefully and they left before any of that violence struck out. Of course, we are hearing a loud bang. We don't know what that was. Of course, we're seeing fireworks every few minutes. We've seen the gas deployed. So whenever you hear boom, honestly, you jump a little bit because you don't know who it's coming from and where it's coming from. And of course, you see the people running. So again, still a very unpredictable situation. We're going to continue to stay on this shot. As you can see, really the distance between law enforcement and the protesters. This is something to note as well. Usually we see them face to face, really on top of each other whenever they get in sort of these tense situations, but they have a considerable distance between them right now. So that is something we haven't seen too often, but this is happening. There goes the gas. There goes the gas. There goes the gas. There goes the gas.
Wow.
And we see this guy right here. He's shooting something. I think these may be the BB guns. They're coming toward us right now, and they are advancing. They are advancing towards the crowd. The crowd is dispersing as they continue to shoot BB guns. What looks like BB guns. This guy's going to throw it back at officers right now. He just threw the tear gas back at officers and ran off as officers continue to shoot, and they continue to throw tear gas. We do see that
damn, buddy,
protesters are throwing
G.
it back at
Woo,
officers.
I'd have been gone.
You know, Brittany.
Oh boy, he was getting fucked up with the
With
rubber
this
bullets.
situation is as tense as it is. When you hear the booms of fireworks, it's frightening because you really don't know what it is. And the goal, even the Atlanta police chief, she said she was glad that there was no police officers or no protesters who lost their lives. And that is the goal. For someone who's watching this and thinking, wow, this is aggressive, and it seems like it's they're being really tough on the protesters. I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. It almost as if they left Atlanta no choice because of how violent the protests turned yesterday with the destruction of so much property, and really the message to protest for the life of George Floyd was lost. Today, we saw a much different scene, Brittany, where there were peaceful protests. There were people who violated it, were immediately arrested. But Yasmina Alston, I know you're also on the ground, on the front line with those riot officers. They're trying their best to warn people through a speaker system to go home. But it appears that, Yasmina, they're not listening.
Yeah. Sean, here within the last 5 minutes, we've definitely seen a lot of movement, both from Atlanta police and from those protesters. I think you guys were on the picture when we saw, just a bunch of things were being thrown into the air. We had fireworks, tear gas. At one point, I heard someone say something about rubber bullets coming from the protesters. Not sure what exactly that was, but if we can just kind of move down this way, Atlanta police, they've moved the direction that they were moving into, and you can see the crowd of protesters has just grown incredibly. You can see people right up here up front talking to Atlanta police. You can see Atlanta police, they have their shields here and are of course ready for whatever happens next. But the amount of people that have now come down into this downtown area, even way back towards this way. I don't know, Aeon, if we can come to the left over here and just kind of show all of the people there. We're seeing more what looks like fireworks, something being thrown out here. Not sure what that is, but we're definitely seeing some movement. I'm just going to kind of let this show here. Of course, everyone is on edge on both sides. That was a firework. So we're seeing a lot of things being thrown, of course, and just, again, the amount of people that have come out here. I don't know if we can see over here. Look at that. Not sure what was thrown over there. Again, we just don't know what is going to happen next. I will say that it is interesting to note that a lot of the crowd, they are staying pretty far back. We've only got a few people who have decided to come close to where police are. The rest of that crowd, they are way back there. A few signs, some chanting, a lot of commotion going on here right now.
Identify,
and more fireworks are being thrown.
Yasmina, identify some of the landmarks where the police are pushing back these protesters to. Are they pushing them out towards other areas where there's more businesses, or now are they pushing them to where it's becoming more residential?
I'm not sure where exactly they're pushing them to. I think the goal is just to get everyone to disperse. But as far as landmarks, to give you an idea of where we are, behind us, is the Ferris wheel. I think Aeon's showing us that now. And Atlanta police are moving towards this way where all of those protesters are.
It sounds like Yasmina is starting to smell some of the tear gas. Let's go to Ashley Thompson.
And her ass out there still trying to report with the tear gas and everything.
That you are at, Ashley, has the crowd dispersed or have they recongregated?
Hey, Sean, the crowd is now back here. You can see police have pushed them even further back into this parking lot. Take a look around. They are now making their way even further back. I mean, they're still congregating, but they're just congregating further back from law enforcement. It's important to know. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. Take a look at what's going on here. Possibly some more tear gas. You could see police just making their way. I mean, they are really pushing these demonstrators back.
I see an arrest.
We're all the way at the AC Hotel downtown. We're going to send it back to you guys.
Ashley Thompson, we're watching to the left where there is an arrest happening right now. Yasmina, you have an arrest. What did that person do?
Yeah, Sean, I mean, we just talked to you, and then all of a sudden Atlanta police, they took off. They have moved towards the protesters. You see here, one young lady is being arrested at this point in time. That happened just seconds ago. Atlanta police started moving. And then if we come this way.
What's good, Miss Knight? What's good, everybody? Exclusive,
so they've gone closer to the crowds. I told
everybody
you
in the room.
The crowds
What's
were pretty
good,
far
y'all?
away from where they were, but Atlanta police have moved down to that area now. So we'll see what other movement we get, if there are any other arrests made. That one young lady that you just saw was the only one that I've seen so far. So we're just going to kind of keep moving with them. I'm hearing more screaming over here. If we can get behind this car. More things being thrown. Okay.
There appears to be another arrest that is happening on live TV. Ashley Thompson, you are witnessing and identify the location where these arrests are happening.
Take a look at this. Yes, there's an arrest of a woman on the ground. There's also a confrontation going on right here. This man in a mask really going toe-to-toe with law enforcement right now. Like I said earlier, a lot of these demonstrators are very stubborn. They don't want to go home, even though there is a curfew. So let's take a look at what's going on right here. We don't know if he's going to be arrested. Over here, another firework. They keep setting off these fireworks in the middle of the parking lot with these law enforcement officers here. The crowd has been pushed back. The crowd has been pushed back. Look how far law enforcement is now. We're in the middle of this parking lot with all of these police officers, state troopers, sheriff's deputies, all of them over here right now. But yes, we did just see the arrest of a female. We've got some tear gas over here. We got to go.
Get yourself to safety, please, Ashley. Of course, the safety of our crews out in the field is the most important thing to us as we see this young man being cuffed behind his back. You know, it's 9:41. It's now 40 plus minutes after the curfew that the mayor and the police chief promised would be enforced. And just as they said, people, they're not messing around. The police department tonight is taking people into custody. People are being arrested, being taken away, and we're watching a steady stream of it. And yet these protesters are throwing firecrackers.
We are right next to Yasmina.
Trying to provoke the police. And it's just not going to be effective for them. It's not going to work. I mean, the police, there are just too many of them, and they have too many tools at their disposal. So it is really, I really hope that these people who are still out there on the street, these pockets of protesters, that they finally get the message, that they see their fellow protesters being dragged away by the police and say, I don't want this to happen to me. Maybe I should get out of here.
And we're seeing these images here in Atlanta, and cities and communities that are in the suburbs have taken drastic steps because they don't want the same thing to happen there. We're monitoring Alpharetta at this moment. All businesses located inside the Avalon in Alpharetta have been closed tonight amid concerns about protests over the death of George Floyd. The Alpharetta Police Department has indicated that there was at least discussions on social social media platforms that indicated there could be
Yeah, I'm
violent
sure
protests
Alpharetta
and
is.
looting in
Because see, that's
Alpharetta
where they
tonight.
should have started.
In
They should have started in
response, the
Alpharetta,
police department has used an abundance of caution,
That's where
making
they should have fucking
necessary
started at.
preparations to protect the community and businesses. Atlanta, we saw with the Atlanta police chief when she had a press conference earlier today, she admitted that the police department was caught off balance yesterday. She said it will not happen again tonight. Zero tolerance policy against lawlessness. The 9 p.m. curfew is now being enforced. They have brought out 1,500 National Guardsmen. We have the Atlanta Police Department in riot gear with K9 on the ground to disperse these crowds, to tell them to go home. We are watching this, and as the crowds, when they get that tear gas, they start to run, like you're seeing some of them running on the right side of your screen. Yasmina Alston, you have seen a series of arrests, multiple dispersions of tear gas, and I see crowds are running again, Yasmina.
Yeah, we're seeing fireworks being thrown over there in the crowd. Of course, a lot of people are running. And again, we just saw a lot of movement happen within minutes. Once again, Atlanta police, they moved back from where they were. And now these fireworks are being thrown by these crowds. I don't know if you can see them up there. If Ayan can show some of that. Yeah, more fireworks are being thrown there, and that crowd has also pushed back some. So we saw police push back, and that crowd push back as well. At this point, I've seen maybe 2 or 3 people get arrested so far before Atlanta police move backwards.
What our reporters on the field, I mean, the safety of our crews are imperative tonight, and they are on the front lines with the police officers, and they are getting some of the tear gas that the protesters are getting. We're going to let our reporters, Rick, breathe.
Yes, let them
if
breathe.
If you've ever been around tear gas, what is these protesters are feeling are a burning sensation in the eyes, difficulty in breathing. That's why they run so fast, because once you inhale that into your lungs, it burns.
You know, some of these scenes that we have watched play out over the last 20, 25 minutes or so, I have covered conflicts in the Middle East, and this reminds me more of that. This does not look like the streets of Atlanta. This looks like something out of the Middle East, with these clashes and these smoke bombs and fireworks being tossed, back and forth between the police and the protesters. It is really just a very upsetting scene to watch. And you look at these young people who are engaging with the police, and you just really wonder what it is that they're trying to accomplish. Some of them with their heads covered, their faces covered, they're wearing masks. But they're now running away from the police. Ashley Thompson is back out. And Ashley, where are you right now?
We are walking on William Street. This is where most of the demonstrators are going right now because of all of that tear gas and all of that commotion that continues to happen in that parking lot. So we are walking down William Street over here. And can we talk to you? We know you're out here. What are you doing out here?
Protesting.
Guys, come to our shot. Come to our shot. Come to our shot. Come to our shot.
All right, what's
Watch
going
your
on?
back,
You see
Ayan.
police officer
Come
there
to our shot.
spraying, or it looks like something. There is a confrontation.
Come to the shot.
Maybe
Come to the shot.
Is that a
looks
taser?
Like a taser.
Yeah, it looks like a taser. We did not
Hey, are
see
you
what
guys
led
at our
up
shot?
to this. But here, clearly this young man behind the wheel has been tased.
Just to give you a little background, we were here on the scene. We turn around and we see several officers go up to the car and start breaking the glass. We're not sure what led up to this. There was a woman in the front passenger seat and a gentleman in the driver's seat. They're pulling him out now. Now, of course, the crowd has caught on to what's happened. We have no idea what led to this. They flattened the tire, broke the glass to the car, and I hear what I believe to be a taser. So you can see this young woman is being arrested, was taken out of the car, and then on the other side, we've got the driver who is also being arrested and several officers around him. I have no idea what exactly led up to this.
Yasmina, the Atlanta Police Department has just tweeted out some stats regarding their efforts with the promises of aggressive law enforcement. As of 8 p.m., the Atlanta Police Department says they have made 34 arrests, mainly along the Marietta Street corridor, with at least one of the arrestees being armed at the time of the arrest. The Atlanta Police Department has also received multiple reports of protesters being armed tonight. The Atlanta Police Department says that it is going to continue to keep the city safe, and they are enforcing the 9 p.m. curfew. It is in effect. We're going to continue to monitor more of what they have to say, but the city of Atlanta just tweeted that within the last minute. But we have been watching an escalation of efforts to get this last remnant that has been stubborn and not want to go home. We have heard the police use announcement systems to
we're getting another
let
arrest.
them hear that there was a curfew and to go home. And then
we've got another arrest.
Yasmina, there's another arrest. Did you see why he was arrested?
This gentleman here, he came into the road, he was saying something, and then officers went over. National Guard is also over there, so now we've got another arrest currently happening. And then we had the two that we just saw in the car. But in that situation, honestly, I have no idea how that came. So a lot going on now, and we're also seeing the crowd that was here before, they've dispersed because everyone saw that those arrests were starting to happen.
And now we see
again, you're taking a live look at.
Yasmina, that looks like
was arrested here.
That looks like the man who was behind the wheel of that car, who was tased. He's now up.
No. This is not. No. I don't believe he was.
This is definitely a different guy.
Okay, sorry.
That came from the hotel across the street. They're moving that car now. There were two people in that car, a driver and a passenger.
Yasmina, we're going to switch from you. Yasmina, we're going to switch from you, and we're going to go to our Brittany Miller, who is also on the front line, where police are now successfully, it appears, Brittany, they have successfully dispersed the majority of even that small crowd that remained.
Those crowds are gone. I'm actually right next to Yasmina. We both watched what just happened in that car. I'm sure you guys watched it live on air. But once that happened, the crowds, they came back for a brief moment just to watch what was happening, to film what was happening. But they are now gone. This is the second scene where I've seen crowds disperse. That came out of nowhere. There were several cars lined up here, and they decided to go into that car. I don't know why. Trying to break into the window. I saw the woman screaming, "Why? What are you doing? What do I do? What are you guys doing?" And then they deployed that taser, tasing both her and the driver, and then carrying them out of the vehicle. That was the only car that I saw that happen to.
Yes, that's all, Natty. That's exactly what they are doing. That's exactly what they are doing. He probably flipped them off, or did something stupid, and that's what they did to them.
Now, look to see what's happening, Steve. If you can turn around for me so you can show this. All the officers are retreating. All the officers look like they are now going back to this stance. They're lining up.
Hey, y'all, this is where I park when I go to the house game. I know exactly where they're at.
Shoulder to my left. If you can see this, Steve, they're standing shoulder to shoulder, walking backwards, retreating. There are no crowds in sight right now. No crowds in sight. We just saw them 10 minutes ago shutting down the street here in downtown Atlanta. But that has definitely changed in the last couple of minutes. So they are retreating, holding on to each other, and we're trying to see exactly what their plan is and what's going to happen next. But a lot has unfolded and developed here in just the last 10 minutes.
That shit funny as hell. Ren's wife tell him to go to Nature Boy house. Nah, I'd rather fight the police than go to that motherfucker house.
Have they towed it away, or is it still sitting there?
The officer just drove it away. You could actually still see the I'm not really sure what they're called, but when you deploy a taser, there are two things that pop out and sort of attach to your skin. You can still see those strings, I'll call them, dragging in the roadway as they drove that car away. I'm looking for the car right now. I don't see it. But
what's good, Miss Harmony?
Is this it in the parking lot right here? This is the car right here in the parking lot with the windows busted out. You can see the headlights on this black car. We know that the driver and the woman that was in the passenger seat have been taken away, and this is the car right here. The officers pulled it off of the road so to let traffic go by. But that was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It was rather jarring to watch. If you've never seen a person tased, you could see the expression in his face. It's like it's almost like he went into shock. But
Well, she don't
Ashley
watch
Thompson
live PD
is
and
at
cops and
Bakers
shit.
and Williams
I
in
didn't see
downtown
people
Atlanta.
tased. Girl,
Ashley,
bad.
from your vantage
Girl,
point,
bad.
are the crowds becoming thinner?
Hey, Sean. So right now, yes, we are at Baker and Williams, and you can see the crowd's been moved to this intersection. Well, some of these demonstrators have been moved to this intersection anyway. It has thinned out a little bit, but I don't think this is all of the demonstrators. I think when police started making those arrests and launching that tear gas, that these crowds went into different ways. So they're still out here. We're at one intersection, probably about a block and a half away from where Brittany and Yasmina are. You can see it's still very active. But we have seen Atlanta police come through here, and they actually came through here with quite some force. Some of their police cruisers trying to arrest people. Let's see, you can see a cruiser going down there. I mean, they're circling downtown right now.
I feel sorry for the people on MARTA. They just gonna shut down MARTA. Like they just shut the shit down. No matter if you have to go to work or you was on your way home from work. Like that was some bullshit,
they don't
y'all.
want to go home. They know there is a curfew by now. They still don't want to go home. They're staying out here. Some of them are just surrounding us. Let's take a look at what's going on down here. Some people may have been hurt running. A lot of these kids just very angry. As I said earlier, there's a lot of young people out here. Some of them maybe want to be on camera. We're not sure. But yes, we are at Baker and Williams, and this is one intersection that's a little rowdy right now. Take a look at the crowd. Again, this is not the whole crowd that we saw earlier in that parking lot. Just some of them. On the way here, America's Mart. There are some windows smashed out in America's Mart. We saw one of those demonstrators actually inside. We saw him crawl out from the glass.
I know, Porter. I just got the damn alert too. And I don't even live in the city of Atlanta. I just signed up for the fucking alert.
There's people surrounding us right now.
Are you okay?
All right. Yeah, we're good. We're just being completely surrounded by some of these demonstrators who maybe have some anger that's misdirected. But right now, yes, we are at Baker and Williams.
And we can see some tactical units. Yeah, we'll let you
reposition yourself to safety. And Rick, you were mentioning
look
here's
at that.
A tactical unit.
Armored vehicles, tactical units moving in. And again, this is exactly in line with what officials told us to expect tonight, that they were going to crack down on any violence and chaos on the streets of Atlanta. They were not going to let what happened last night to happen again tonight. And we are seeing exactly what they planned in order to accomplish that. And we are watching that plan be carried out by law enforcement, be carried out effectively. I mean, they are really, if their goal was to clear the streets, they have done an amazing job of doing that. We've seen a number of people
that's what I said, Porter.
Taken away.
And what if you don't have Uber or Lyft
a number
money?
Of different
man, they did some Keisha did some bullshit tonight, like that ass. Like she really did.
Provoke the police. We saw a number of them trying to catch their breaths where Ashley was just a moment ago. Yasmina, we're taking a look at the location where you are right now with the Clayton County Sheriff's Office that came in to help out last night. It looks like they're back again.
Yeah, so Rick, after we saw those arrests just happened,
okay, Clayco. That's where the fuck y'all should have been. Y'all should have been in Clayco too. Let's start with Atlanta.
The streets were cleared.
Look where Clayco is. Clayco is helping in Atlanta. Man, come on, y'all. People in Georgia that's on my stream right now, y'all know about Clayco.
Sort of winding down after what we just saw, and Atlanta police are over there. They're heading back up towards where we started all of this. So we're seeing the roads cleared. We'll walk with them a little bit and see where we end up there.
You know, we're just
that's what we've got here.
We're just looking at these images, Yasmina, from two perspectives on the left and the right. It looks like those crowds have been completely dispersed. And from your vantage point, for the last hour or so, we would see them get sprayed with tear gas and then run to another area or come back. It looks like that's not happening now.
Right, we've seen the tear gas, and we saw fireworks being thrown, and we saw all of the commotion, and then we saw the arrests, and it looks like now everyone is off of the streets. Police are packing up. I'm seeing media, but really no other crowds.
What's good,
no other
Nellyville?
people
What's good?
Are still out here.
Yeah, she was trash for that
We were,
tonight. She
Ashley
was trash.
Thompson, I
Yeah,
believe,
they
she
are
was
locking.
reporting that she was
Like
beginning.
literally,
She had saw
they
some
started
damage
locking
and
up
possible
people at
looting
9:01.
at
Literally.
an area of business here in downtown Atlanta. Have you seen that? It seems to be significantly less damage and violent outbreaks on property in that area.
I have not seen any damage to any property. I mean, a lot of the buildings and businesses down here were destroyed yesterday. We saw the Waffle House and near the CNN Center, of course, and all of that has been boarded up and has been fenced off as well. So I personally have not seen any more damage tonight other than just things being thrown, the water bottles.
Man, let me tell y'all something. I took MARTA for years.
Gas,
2 jobs. I took MARTA for years.
But no other damage.
And this would have
that
affected my second job.
Well,
Like,
it'd be very
how the
interesting if
fuck you
these
just gonna
officers
shut
are in
down
fact
shit?
going home.
Man,
or
the
not going
fuck?
home, but going back, you know,
Wherever they go.
Wherever they go, back to the
yeah, back to where they were set up.
Yeah, back to their staging
near
area.
the CNN Center where they were set up at originally. They're all moving back there now. So we're gonna kind of walk with them and see what's going on down there.
Yeah, the question now is that
all right, y'all. I just wanted to bring everybody in at the 9 o'clock curfew. So I'm gonna get on off of here because you know
Atlanta area. We have
they basically bullied. They bullied them into not protesting because of what happened last night.
We have seen tactical crews using speaker systems to speak to.
But I'm gonna get on out of here. I don't know if Dekulu's still live on Instagram, y'all, but y'all know he got his feet on the ground in Dallas. So yeah,
the curfew.
I'm gonna go. I just wanted to see what was gonna happen after the curfew. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.
Did release a tweet about 11 minutes ago